And we are live. It's showtime, baby. Um, Waiting on a few guests. I'm hoping to have on. I was hoping to have Brad. He's having some technical difficulties. Talk a little NFL. Nobody I know better than Brad to have on talking NFL. Um, I am watching a little bit of. I do have the FSU LSU game going on the side, so you might hear me grunt a little bit. I'm an ACC fan. Um, can't stand LSU. Uh, or Chip Kelly. So that's just a double whammy for me. It's the first game I've got, college game I've gotten to see at all. I don't know if anybody else likes to watch college out there. I love to watch college. Just last few years, just haven't been able to watch a lot of it. Excited for this year. Just I love when there's a lot of change and just want to see what happens. Just did go yesterday and watch a D3 game. Christopher Newport against Virginia Southern University or Southern Virginia University or something like that. They're only 2 years. Their program's only 2 years old. So Christopher Newport, where my friend's son plays at, kind of put the smack down on him. But I got to hang out with some friends. Another one of my friends, her daughter is a cheerleader, so it was good catching up with some friends at the game. But it was a 5-hour drive for me to go to it. And then took my mom out to dinner today for her birthday, and then drove back home to watch this. And I wanted to watch some football, get a little college game in. Tomorrow night's Clemson and Duke. That's going to be a murder. Virginia got murdered yesterday. I don't know if anybody saw that killing by Tennessee. But I hope everybody's doing well. First full weekend of college football, I should say. Then Thursday, we'll get into NFL. Let me pull up the schedule for first week of NFL. Not well prepared tonight. Sorry, I've been on the road a lot. But wanted to get home to do this tonight. And my parents, my mom was like, you need to get home so you can do your Sunday night thing. She knows I really enjoy it. So Thursday night is Lions and Chiefs. Lions are supposed to be better this year, so we'll see. Texans, Ravens. Let's see, any big matchups. 49ers, Steelers. Oh, Brad is trying hard here. He is trying it. He keeps flickering up. If we could just get his sound up. Don't worry about your video, Brad. See if your sound will work. Get you just chatting. Be great. But anybody looking forward to Dallas Sunday night game is Dallas Giants, so that's always a big rivalry. We do have Mike on, which I did. I know he's been busy this weekend. This is a family weekend up at the O farm. But Mike got to see history this week, live and in person. A great moment. Yeah, Battery, you're right. Georgia, I think that's your alma mater, right? Has gone back to back, but they would get whooped if they played the NFL team. Yeah, that's for true. Whooped. Mike, how was the? I know you went there to see Ohtani. That was your plan, right? Just y'all wanted to see Ohtani for your nephew.
Well, I mean, there's a whole bunch of levels of going for sure. But this has been an incredibly busy week. And the one day I had nothing specific planned was Wednesday. And that was kind of for a reason. That was just so the Angels coming to Philadelphia was circled on the calendar for many reasons. One, a chance to see Shohei Ohtani, someone I've never gotten to see in person. Obviously, I watch him, on TV or MLB.TV whenever I can. Just to me, one of those figures in baseball right now that if you have the opportunity, you want to take it to get to see him live.
Right.
Unfortunately, he would have been slated to pitch either Tuesday or Wednesday, which would have worked out pretty cool. The arm goes. You don't know if you're going to get that chance again, but still want to see him hit. Just an incredible, obviously, story, player, all of that. And the Angels aren't, I know now with the current format, they'll play each other every year, but it's still an every other year type of thing. Plus, who knows if he'll be back in LA, a whole bunch of scenarios. Also, Mike Trout, being with the Angels are still a draw to me. I know they're a dumpster fire of an organization with the way things have worked out for them. But
we got Brad.
They're still a draw. What's up, Brad?
No sudden movements, Brad.
Now get this.
Yeah.
On the fast, because I have two different types of Wi-Fi, and on the fastest one, StreamYard doesn't work. I have to go to the one below, and it works fine. So is
Makes
it too
sense.
fast for StreamYard? Like, that's why I was like, I got to be using the fast. And I'm like, let me change the Wi-Fi, and there you go.
Bam. Well, let's get Mike tell us a little bit more about his history watching event or actual attendance. But continue on, Mike, with please with your.
No, so like my nephew is happy to go to any type of baseball game. Hell, he likes to watch other little leaguers play. Like he'll sit there, the kids that are a level up and stuff like that. But he's been to a couple games this year with my brother, but that was one, and it was an afternoon game. I mean, he just turned 8, so like he can go to the night games before school starts back up, but the day game's still at that age, more ideal with everything. So being a day game, being during the week where you figured it would be a little less, Sundays can be a little tough to get a ticket right now. So it just all lined up, worked perfect. I was available. My dad was available. And then it lined up even better where it was like, all right, Bryce Harper's on a roll. He has a shot at number 300, just so many reasons. And you never need a good reason to go to see a ball game anyway. Like
when you posted the video, even I was like, oh, he got to see it live. And I'm like, man. And then you post the video. I don't know if you saw what I left down in the comments, but
your little every day is history or something like that.
Yeah, because you're kind of like feel like I even brought it up Saturday in my Saturday chat.
I heard you say that, and that's not really the way I was feeling. But
right, I know that's not how you were feeling, but that's how it kind of came across.
Oops, I think for me, so I do everything, and I know there's this semi-culture war sometimes on YouTube, and even just in general. You got these old guys, like, they have nothing to do with cards. They're like, these young guys, they showboat. It's like, it's the old guys versus the new guys sometimes. Right. And I do a little bit of all of it. And I guess everyone's going to collect the way they want to collect and, all that. So you got to do what makes you happy. So I literally do it all. And I literally get joy out of buying a card from 1897 and doing the research of the player. Hey, there aren't video clips of most of those guys. You can find a handful of photographs, but there's always some research to do. And like that to me is, at this point, honestly, is the most fun part of the hobby because it's the most challenging. It's so hard to find that stuff. Right. And I like the vintage stuff, and I like hearing the stories of people, family members who got to see them play while we have those members around that saw them. Mm-hmm. And I like the nostalgia guys. Like Von Hayes is fun because I remember him as a little kid, and then guys later on, the guys, that were on some of the big teams in different years, and even like the eras from different stuff. You remember guys from like grade school time and then like maybe high school time, college time, all that. But like the guys today too, like, I don't know. I just like to collect it all. and to try and spread that word a little bit. But I don't feel
Right.
like you have to justify any of it.
No, and I don't feel like, and hopefully I didn't overstep my boundaries with you, but I just was like, I wasn't talking for you. I was just kind of like, because I was so excited for you to be there. I want to know, how many Tops Now cards did you buy?
Oh, I ordered a 20 pack because I know a couple guys that are going to want one. And then I figured, well, my nephew's going to get one. My brother, different. I'm like, yeah, I'll have a few extras, and then maybe I'll list a couple extras, whatever.
You probably hit a
I have so many extra
number.
Tops Now cards. It's sad, they're not
right.
But
right.
If I'm at a game, like, listen, a few years ago, one of my other nephews, who's way younger, he's still only a couple years old, but we were at that game. Phillies lost. I can't even remember who was it, Garrett Hampson. Someone for Colorado had a huge game. I was like,
right.
Prefer not to order a Rockies Tops Now card in a game that the Phillies lost. But I was like, you know what? That was that kid's first. I'm just gonna pick one up for a couple bucks. What the hell? Why not? Little memory.
Well, I'm glad you got to see it and be part of it. We could watch it on the TV, but to be in the stands, that place looked packed that day.
It was another big crowd. The Phillies crowds have been really good. That day was not a sellout. Like, there were open seats, upper level out in the outfield, but it's still on a Wednesday afternoon, as a lot of schools had started. My nephew's school starts in a few days, but a lot of schools in the area had already started, and obviously people working and stuff. It drew 35,000, 1 o'clock game on a Wednesday afternoon. That's pretty solid. And it was one of those moments where you did get a little bit of those chills while you're sitting there watching it. And this guy is just, Bryce Harper hits a lot of home runs in
power hitter
big
is
moments.
500, but when he's 30 years old, right, and gets 300, you feel like you're watching part of the road, right?
He's guy, at the very least put himself in a position to have that opportunity.
And this is a guy that everybody wanted to poo-poo on early on for some of the stuff he's done. And this last few years, he's the man. He's been, no doubt, the Phillies MVP.
No, it was so. It's awesome. That's the other thing with in baseball, and it happens in football as well. But I feel like football, it's not as crippling because they can. Yeah, obviously you can cripple your franchise with bad decisions, of course, but baseball, you get all these long-term deals and stuff, and you get a couple bad deals, it can destroy you. And the Phillies don't make all the right calls. They've signed guys that just haven't worked out. But the big deals, the longer contracts so far have actually been pretty good. Like Zach Wheeler, he doesn't get a lot of attention hobby-wise, but like Zach Wheeler, if they could redo that, like, he would get twice the money. Like, I think they got him at 5 years, $118 million, and he's been phenomenal over the first 4 years. And the Bryce Harper contract, and I kind of bit my tongue a little bit too. I think I have some other Phillies fans who are probably trying to egg me on to kind of blast certain people, but I behaved. But there were a lot of people who were saying, "Oh, this is the worst contract." When he just signed it, he hadn't played a game yet. And I'm like, I don't know. There's a lot of really bad contracts. There's some guys in the Hall of Fame who had some pretty damn bad contracts.
Right.
So far, he's in his 5th year. Obviously, he still has a while to go, but he's been worth every penny to this point. He helped them win a National League pennant, won an MVP in another year, and has just provided a ton of great moments. And he's just, no disrespect to Manny Machado. Manny Machado is a fantastic player. He's a Gold Glove winner. He's great defensively. He's a good offensive player. He's on his way to eventually reaching the Hall of Fame.
Do you think so? Really?
Okay. Manny Machado, statistically at this point and at his age and stuff, again, things can happen. He still has things to do.
The writers, you got to remember who's voting. And that's,
of course. There's a lot of different things.
Right.
Point being, he's a damn good player.
Right.
And you can't go wrong with that player. But it was so obvious in the moment. And don't get me wrong, a lot of times fans don't know what the hell they're talking about. Fans want to think they know everything. Most of the time, they don't necessarily know everything. But that is one where I do think some of the public talk was pro Harper, and I think some of the front office guys, who, by the way, are no longer here, and most of them also don't have jobs in any level of Major League Baseball, I think they were in on the Machado thing, and I think ownership was more pro Harper. And I just think fit for the city, energy, interaction with the fans, kind of getting it the way they play. I think it's so clear that Bryce Harper was the correct decision in that moment, and I just think he's been a perfect fit in Philadelphia.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say why or who or what, but you did get to see earlier in the week some young talent as well, right? I mean, you got to see some kids before they made their
I've seen some guys who play for the Mets
debut. Yeah. So
some of the Phillies prospects I've watched live,
right.
I don't know how much prospect
well, that lineup you
AAA.
showed me, that was some future guys, dudes.
Well, the game I saw the what's it, Syracuse Mets, right? That's their name now, correct? So Syracuse and Lehigh Valley, and Ronnie Mauricio hit a in one of the games I saw a couple of them, hit a bullet home run to left field, and I'm like, this guy's got to get called up in the next few days. And a day or two later, finally got the call. But he obviously looks like he's going to be a good player. What do you have, a double in his first game?
Yeah, hit a missile right over the outfielder's head for a double.
I will say his batting stance, a few times I was watching him, and I'm like, man, I feel like that looks like it'd get uncomfortable. He had his front foot the way he had it.
I've been waiting 5 years for this moment, and then I kept texting you. Yeah, I can't watch the game because it's on Apple TV.
Thanks, Apple.
Yeah. So we got Brad back, and I'm sitting here it's NFL. I wanted him on last week when we were doing fantasy. He was having issues then.
StreamYard apparently hates me all of a sudden now.
Yeah. So we might have to do Zoom or something. But I couldn't think. I did send out invites to a few other people as well, because I've been liking having people and having roundtable discussions, getting ideas out there. But tonight, I know Mike might take off. We're going to have him on as long as we can. Hopefully, I got a couple more people that might jump in that are also doing live fantasy. I know this is a big fantasy draft weekend along with a holiday weekend. I have one tomorrow as well. But what is your thoughts for, this is what I want to ask, since this is a hobby channel.
Invest. What
is there even a reason
this
year to even care that anybody's printing cards? Is the rookie class any good to start with? Did he freeze up again? I like that picture, yeah. I'm gonna keep that picture up just because of that picture. That is awesome. But Mike, you could test to this. Do you see anything with this rookie class this year that really makes anybody care who is printing the cards?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of early round quarterbacks, so whether they're good or not, that first year they're going to get hyped up. I mean, there'll be a few that will play, though, right? Carolina and Houston, I believe, are both starting their rookie quarterbacks.
Right.
And the Colts as well. So, I mean, last year wasn't very quarterback heavy,
right,
and I think that hurt it a little bit. But I don't know. I don't really know exactly how that Panini thing's going to play out. I know a lot of places stop their pre-orders and stuff, but some of the stuff that's already printed, I have a hard time believing it's not going to end up being released. And I don't know. We'll see, I guess, how the hobby aspect of it plays out. But they all have some cards.
Well, regardless. It looks like
they had some Panini
kind of rush stuff out too.
Well, they had Panini Instant cards after the draft, and I think they did some for some photo day. And then Legacy came out right around the National, even though I believe the majority of the rookies are in college uniforms, and then Score as well.
So
We
did you
better
hear
get
the
Brad in.
question, Brad, before you froze? I love the free.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't know.
So should we care about the release because the rookie class is not that great about the Panini Fanatics thing? Is that going to be that big of a deal? Since this is a hobby, I want to talk a little bit about the hobby before we get into football. Do you think, like, do we care? Mike's saying there's a couple of starting quarterbacks that is starting are the rookies, but it just seems like rookies carry the day. And if it's not a rookie, is there much reason to buy the product this year? Quarterback. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, because the problem's going to be is they can't have Bryce Young signed. They can't have Levis. They can't have any of these guys signed. So that's obviously a big deal. But for football fans, non-investor types, it doesn't matter. It's actually better because then that means theoretically the secondary market price shouldn't go nuts.
Right.
So the products that should be $160 a box theoretically should stay under 200.
Right.
But theoretically, if that happens for a guy like me, I prefer that.
Right. Well, I was going to have another collector. That was my big thing, was to have collectors on tonight. I didn't want other than the Mike O LLC over here. I wanted,
not a lot of football selection in that card shop, though.
Right.
I will say it's a misconception that nothing sells but quarterbacks. Is completely a false thing. I mean, honestly,
they're the ones that get the hype. They get the attention.
Sells in football than anything else.
Right.
You can sell a random linebacker from the Steelers for $30. Now, yeah, you're not talking $5,000, $10,000.
Right.
But oh man, I used to have a field day with these early football products before, stuff got $300 a box when it's supposed to be $150. I would make money so easy, like on Donruss Elite, because I knew who the good guys were,
right?
Young players already, because I follow it, and then you draft guys from Steelers, Cowboys, Packers. Those fans eat that stuff up early on,
Right.
And I used to make double my money on early football stuff.
See,
So you're saying you used knowledge by following a sport. You didn't just go to a channel and go, oh, this guy says I should buy Will Grier, so then you went and start buying Will Grier?
Exactly.
I like collecting offensive. I played offensive line, so I like collecting offensive linemen, and I don't get that option. I don't just collect the guy that's, I like to collect guys that are at least all pros or whatever. But I kind of got out of it because it was so hard to even, especially just the Cowboys used to say had really good linemen. So I could get a good rookie. I have some, good offensive linemen. I have, guys that I really like. But year in and year out, it's tough. I still pick up, I'm in love with Micah Parsons. So that's
a perfect example of a guy who sells really well.
Right. And probably
now, no one tells you to invest in them, but that might be one of the safest things to invest in.
Right. And that's the whole thing. It's like, again, buy what you like. But my whole thing is all you hear is quarterbacks. You go out and everybody's got the $20,000 quarterback cards that everybody's trying to sell and trade. And I'm like, man, this quarterback class this year is, they might be hyped before they play, but once they play, let's see what happens.
Right.
Well, it's also the statistics too. People go, oh, look how great this guy's numbers are. I'm like, yeah, but if you go by that logic, Matt Schaub's an NFL Hall of Famer if you're just looking at the stats based on all-time stats. Like, obviously the stats are skewed. Like,
right.
Everybody has 65% completions now, whereas back in the day that would have been like an outrageous season.
Oh yeah, of course. And
I mean, back in the
yeah,
day,
no,
even in the '90s, it'd be like two guys throw for 4,000 yards a year. Now it's what, like 20?
right. And I asked this to a couple of guys that I invited Ed and Dave tonight too, because we talked last week, and they did say like a fantasy guy will do good on their fantasy team, so they feel like they need to buy the card. Is either I've done that. I've done that. Is I won't go out and buy like an auto for whatever, but I feel like I got to have a card. Did either one of you all ever done that? Or
Yeah. Now, I will say one of my strengths is the fact that I stay within my PC.
Okay.
I will say that some people might look at it as weak, but I would say that's my strength is I don't waste a lot of hobby funds on stuff that I'll look back on in 2 years and wonder why I bought it. I will say I've been very good about that like the last 10 years or so.
Right. I'm trying to get better. I did a video Saturday, kind of I'm also going to probably have a video coming about my strategy, my personal goals for the rest of the year are, but
Personal goals or personal hobby goals?
personal hobby goals. I don't.
All right,
What's the
here's
difference?
my goal.
Well, I mean, I do have a personal goal. My only personal goal is to get to Cooperstown, and that's going to happen. So I think Battery Fanatics is publicly traded. Isn't PSA publicly traded, or the company that
Collectors
PSA is
Universe?
under?
Yeah. It should be.
Yeah. So there's actual ways. We got Amish Dave. I stay within my PC too. Yeah, but your PC morphs like from
He's got
day.
like 100 PCs.
Yeah, I think we know.
Actually, interesting PCs though.
Yeah, they are. They're fun to watch. I watched the mail day on the lake. That was funny. I have 2 fantasy drafts this week. Look for cheat codes. Yeah. Brad he's having real troubles tonight with StreamYard. I feel like StreamYard is easy for most people, and that is him frozen. He's not just staring into the abyss. But I'm gonna keep it there for right now. Mike's checking something on.
No, I was actually looking at I've been burning the phone up today, so I was like, "Ooh, let me check that battery level."
Okay. So, when it comes to fantasy, I've stopped that here in the past, but to be honest, I don't do much football other than Cowboy greats. I try to pick up some autos like Roger Staubach, and
I would like to do more football, but the problem is, again, the hobby and hobby funds are not unlimited. So
exactly.
I honestly used to do tons of football back, 20 years ago. I don't open it. I thought football was kind of expensive 5-6 years ago in comparison to what you got. And now it's, tenfold the prices of boxes. So I've never opened a ton of football. At this point, I mean, hobby-wise, like those Panini Legacy boxes, which I bought at the National because you got those silver packs.
Right.
That was what pushed me to buy them. Outside of that, I think last year maybe I opened a box of Score Football, and I did it mostly, I kept a handful of base cards that I wanted, and the rest of the stuff was stuff I, put up, made it available for sale.
Right.
I don't really open hobby boxes when it comes to football. I'll open some blasters. And as far as singles, I'll look from time to time, but I don't go crazy with it because as much as I would love to add some, it's just, it's pricey and I end up spending my money on, other stuff.
Yeah, for me, I'm in the same boat. I kind of wish that now that things are going up, I have sold my soul to Pete Alonso. I'm on a roller coaster right now with Pete Alonso. I hear 1 week he's on a trade block. The next they're saying he's not, but if they do get an offer, they'll listen. Yeah. I gotta keep it secret for the bathrooms at the stage. So that's part of it. But this is another question for everybody when it pertains to the hobby. I feel like also I kind of fell out with Panini doing football because I felt like it's the same product over and over again.
I think
I kind of want Fanatics to get it just to put fresh ideas out there. Right? Anybody else feel that way?
I do think some of their products seem very, very similar. Like I think Prism, Select, and Mosaic are all kind of the same set.
Right.
Because not only do they have the same look and incredibly similar parallels, I feel like they're the same damn checklist. Like,
right.
Topps Fanatics isn't perfect either, but at least I feel like they put out a few products where they will mix it up a little more. Like, it's the same legends in every product. It's the same rookies, obviously, and like the same stars. And I'm just like, can we get something a little different?
Right. That's why it really is like pick your favorite Chrome. Some people it's Prism, some people it's Select, some people it's Mosaic. And that's usually, it seems like what you always have to do. And then it's like of your high-end product, like I love Impeccable, right? And it's because it's like one of the few things that does look semi-different, you know, with the canvas look and stuff that they do.
Right.
But, yeah, like, you're absolutely right. 75%.
And I mean, and the sticker autos on NT, it's just some of the things, you know, people thought I was defending Panini the last few weeks, and no, I was not. I just think, you know, I just think it's not right, everything that's going on. But you know, Panini gone does not hurt my feelings because I do think we need a fresh. If Fanatics bring something fresh to the table, let's see. But you know, it's a wait and see type of deal.
Yeah, like I like the fact Panini brought white cardstock, which you didn't really see a lot of pre-Panini.
Right.
And the big bold autograph does look nice, but as you say, I don't need 12 products to look like that.
Right.
You know, like if you just made flawless like that, you wouldn't be tired of it. You know, you'd be like, this is the greatest looking thing ever. Foil with cardstock. But yeah, when you do 12 products with pure white cardstock, then you're just kind of
right. And not much imagine. They just there's not much in it. I'll probably buy singles on the Cosmic. I did buy a box of last year's Cosmic because I got it cheap to show. Not cheap, but I got it at a good price. Are you going to open up any of the Cosmic, Mike?
I'm not sure. I got 2 in that I pre-ordered, and then I have 2 more. I haven't decided. I put 2 sealed boxes up for sale just because they're outrageously priced. I may open 1 or 2. I'm not sure. I'm going to probably have some lots that I picked up, but that'll break down. So,
right. So let's get into the season that's coming up. Any team that we should be between y'all maybe or is a surprise team, a team that we are not really thinking of. Like I seen Colorado sports dude put on here. He's looking for Denver. I kind of think they're going to have a better season this year. I think they got some things going the right way for them this year. I don't see a repeat performance out of the quarterback like last year. I think he's better than that.
yeah.
So I don't. Now they're going to win the Super Bowl. I don't think so, but I think something good could come out of Denver if that's a winning season, whatever that might be. A couple of upsets. Whatever.
Tough division, though.
It is a very tough division, and I mean that was part of the problem last year. But do y'all see anybody that could be a team to kind of, you know, see something out of this year that we won't really talking about before now?
So the one team I like more than anyone else, like no one else seems to like them, is Washington. I think they have a chance to do what the Giants did last season, where you're randomly at like sitting at 10-7, and you're like, but this team isn't good, you know. But they have They should have a dominant front four that Chase Young's back, assuming he's. I mean, they have a dominant front four on defense. And then
Right.
Sam Howell, I like coming out of college. He's a functional, knows what he's doing QB. And then they have Dotson and McLaurin on the edges, Gibson in the backfield, and a solid offensive line, mid-tier. So I think
And a
that's
conference
team
where, there should be some teams that can find their way into the postseason.
exactly.
Win a game
They
or
don't
two,
have
maybe
to-
even.
Like Denver has to be really good to make the playoffs. You ain't backing into 10 wins in the AFC. You could back into 10 wins in the NFC.
Yes, I was going to say you're picking the right division, probably the right team. Not only conference, but division. Everything you said is right on par because yes, the Eagles are probably the top, but everybody else is. We got this guy right here, the Bears. Come on, fellas, have you not heard? Bears could do something. They made some good trades. They kind of put the Panthers over their knee a little bit. I mean, but what I also want to go ahead.
Well, the Bears, they're almost building a team that some people believe backwards, where like the edges, the back end of the defense is actually going to be pretty good, but their defensive line stinks. The offensive line kind of stinks.
Right.
But the other stuff they've actually improved on. So it's very, are you going to be the anomaly of the front lines don't matter that much and you're going to overcome it with everything else? If you look at the Super Bowl teams, that was not the case. They have solid front lines and sometimes makeshift other thing, But, yeah, so the Bears, that's the only thing that concerns me is they may have built the team backwards. Maybe it'll play out, Again, you're in a conference that maybe you can pull it off. But I worry about the lines of scrimmage for them.
So, also, I want to say, Victor, congratulations on making it home after going to Gary, Indiana for a baseball game. If y'all haven't seen his last video, he does a PSA reveal. But before, he talks about Gary, Indiana. We looked it up on the way as a place to stop to sleep, and we decided to skip that town. Right, Mike?
That is correct. We made an executive decision to just continue driving.
Yeah. So congratulations on making it home from Gary, Indiana. Unscathed. Let's see. We got will Belichick this be his last year? Could be.
He is getting
Robert
up there,
Kraft
but
seems
I
to be over him, to be honest with you.
it could be his last year in New
time is
England, but I
off.
don't know that would be his last year in general. I think he wants to. He's a historian. I think he wants to do everything he can to break some records if he can.
Yeah. So Colorado sports dude, man, heritage football would be cool to see. Is the word out yet on what we're getting for football cards this year? Nope. Wait for arbitration. And even if the arbitration is true, Panini still has the license to the NFL itself. It's such a mess.
Definitely the rest of this year, I think you're still seeing Panini football products in NFL.
Yeah, and it looks like they're trying to get on that.
Calendar year. But
Are they going to do like some of the other, like, are we going to see like boxes just exploding with what's left of autographs and?
Well, I hope so. It's like hockey when they did that 13-14 season was just amazing. Prime, a national treasure. That stuff was amazing.
Right.
So I'm almost rooting for it.
I the first thing I heard, I was thinking was like, oh, like you might want to overpay a little bit just if they want to get rid of stuff.
But the difference is now, like all the relics, it won't be game worn anyway. So like,
right.
The good thing about the old days when they did that, they dumped all these like jumbo patches and stuff to use all the material, but it was game worn stuff,
Right.
Now it'd be like I wouldn't want it in.
It might be instead of the logo man, it'll be the Fanatics tag off the shirt in a panini.
That's the thing. People think that's getting better. I'm like, Fanatics literally owns knockoff jerseys. Okay, you think they're using?
Well, I'm just
Game
saying,
One
in a
jerseys?
panini card, would that be great?
Yeah.
Like,
It would be pretty epic.
that would.
But yeah, I
I
see
would buy
people
that.
go like say that, like, oh, maybe we're gonna get more game use stuff. I'm like, well, think about the company they own.
Right.
I'm not hopeful.
They just got to go into their second warehouse and go pull a jersey
So
off.
if you want to invest, game used product. 03 to 2011, focused on that. Never will go down, guarantee it.
They might go out together. They're buddies, batteries. So Belichick and Saban. I mean, that's now, Mike. Did you have a team that you're kind of saying it could make some noise that nobody's really talking about? Washington was great.
I mean, I don't have anything specific really to add to it right now. I just think football is always up and down. Like you always have teams that are in that you think, all right, this team was a playoff team. Like, I don't know, Jacksonville, right? I'm just throwing them out there. Like they're a playoff team. So I feel like people assume they're going to be as good. Theoretically, you would think they'd improve, get better. But every year it's a couple teams in and a couple teams out. New teams all the time. And I mean, right now, like I was listening to some Philadelphia sports talk on the way on my ride home this evening, and it's all like the Eagles are the clear number one, which I guess statistically, theoretically, and I'm sure betting odds wise, they're the number one choice for the NFC. And it was like the debate, who was even close? And it's like, well, the 49ers are pretty good. They have question marks like everyone. And it's like, does anyone else even have a shot? Well, of course, there's going to be other teams that reach the playoffs. Injuries happen and stuff. So there's so many ups and downs. I'm actually feeling kind of good about New England. I actually think they're going to be better than I thought they would be weeks ago, but that still might not be good enough to reach the postseason because that division is so good.
I tell you what, I saw the
but
picture.
They could be a second place team. They could also finish in fourth.
I can tell you, Zeke's looking like young Zeke right now.
Their defense looks like it should be pretty good. Like they'll probably be closer to like the early 2000s teams as opposed to, some of the later year Tom Brady teams.
They're going to be a pain to play against every week.
Right.
That's why there's a lot of assumption like the Eagles are going to start 1-0. Like it's in New England. It could be tight. Like it's opening week.
And this would be the first year teams adjust to what they now know what Jalen Hurts is.
Mm-hmm.
So can the Eagles adjust to the adjustment? That's where a lot of times the problem lies is you see this huge season from a guy, then you see regression. Lamar Jackson for the Ravens. Yeah, he's had some injuries, but teams adjusted, how they played him. Even in the midseason, the Dolphins last year lit up people, 30-plus points every week. All of a sudden, they said, wait a minute. Let's take away the center of the field. Chargers did it. 49ers did it. We look like a shell of ourselves. And that was with Tua. Everyone just assumes Tua got hurt. That's obviously why we barely made the playoffs. But, yeah, teams made that adjustment, and we didn't adjust to it yet. So this year, we went out and got a defensive coordinator whose disciples are the ones that stop that offense, which I found very interesting. They're all big Fangio disciples in some way. So are you going to learn how to play against that defense now is what I'm excited to see. Because we played Chargers week 1, who completely out-schemed us last time.
Is the Chargers coming to y'all, or are you going?
No, we're going there.
Okay. Because
someone did.
The NFL didn't do us any favors because they only played us one time at home, where our one advantage we have is the heat. And we only played once in September at home.
Yeah, and West don't travel well to East on Sunday afternoon games.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that usually never works well for the visitor.
Now, some people go, well, you don't have to go to Buffalo in December. That's true, but honestly, it's a bigger advantage the other way. Like last year, we don't win that game if that isn't played in the heat and they're cramping up every 2 minutes, in the second half. We don't win that game, And then, so, yeah, that's our big advantage because it's not like a crazy loud stadium. It's not, our advantage is the Heat, and they kind of took that one away.
So we all three, I think, agree the AFC is the conference. That's the NFC is only 2 teams. The AFC is more leveled.
Of the top
So-
10 teams, how many are in the AFC, would you say, Brad?
Probably at least 7.
Wow, who do you think's in the NFC outside of 49ers?
You would have Eagles, 49ers, and if you really wanted to push it, the Lions. But I'm not as high on the Lions as everyone else.
Well,
They're
that's
getting very, very hyped.
yeah, they're getting hype, and we'll
I
see.
like
They're
them,
playing the
root
Chiefs.
for them, but I'm not convinced they're better than the Packers right now, to be quite honest with you.
Well, see that. Okay, here's my question: who's going to be better than the Chiefs then in AFC this year? Who's going to be the team to knock them out?
See, that's the thing. Like, I think the Chiefs might be like the 4th best team, but they're
Okay.
the hardest team to beat. You see
Right.
what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I could list off 6 teams I think could beat the Chiefs at any given moment.
It's
but
hard.
they're the
It's hard to get
hardest team
ready.
to beat.
It's hard to get ready for a team that, when a play breaks down, that's when they're at their best.
Right.
And
And
that's always a tough one. And he finds a way to get out of getting that big hit. He runs around and you're like, he's going to get killed, but he just doesn't.
Yep.
It just doesn't.
But yeah, theoretically, you look at the receiving core, you go, most guys, I can cover those guys, right?
Right.
But he's going to scheme up a way to make it, And now, like Chris Jones not being there, that's a big deal because that defense goes from 28th to top 10 when he's in there. Look
Okay.
at over the last 3 years, I think they're like 8th in defense when he's in there and like 28th when he's not. You could argue
Right.
he's the most valuable defensive player there is. So.
Yeah, because
Kind of a big deal, and he seems content to hold out a few weeks. So
okay, because I think Thursday night's game is going to be better to watch than most Lions games in the past.
oh yeah, and this is the
and we're
time
gonna-
to play the Chiefs too. This
Right,
is the
right.
absolute time to play.
Right, a little hangover from last year, and you're going to get them now. So nice. I just, to me, it's just tough to say that the Chiefs, because just they have that factor of the backyard play, and you get frustrated watching them if you're rooting for the other team, and if you're watching them and rooting for them, you love it. You got the guy, and I think everybody thinks that he's here, and all the other quarterbacks are down here. Do y'all feel the same way, or?
Yeah, I guess so. Like, they're just weird because it's like a lot of times you play the Chiefs and you always leave going, we could have won that, but you never do.
Right.
And that's why they're so frustrating. They
Well,
rarely
that's
beat teams 41-7.
And we know that stadium is probably the hardest stadium to play in the NFL. So that's the most college-like atmosphere.
I think you combine him with Andy Reid. Yes, that makes him.
Well, I said it this
It's
year.
a perfect match for those two.
After that's the new Belichick Brady combo is him and
Yeah.
Reid right now. So, I think he's gonna. I think anyone think the Chiefs slowly digress over the years with Mahomes' massive contract? I don't know if they're going to digress because of the contract, but if Mahomes hurts his legs at all, they're going to be in trouble. That's the way I feel. They're going to be in some serious trouble. He had that ankle injury. Some people want to argue maybe he didn't have that.
Ed says it was fake.
I didn't want to
I
name
believe it
names.
was spring, sure, but no, it was never. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play. Or
Right. It was about,
He Roethlisberger did.
during the
so.
middle of the week, you would have thought he needed an amputation.
Yeah, it was never to that.
But that it was a good sell job by them. And hey, if you want to sit there and make me tell you who's hurt, I'll be like Belichick. Everybody on my team's got an injury.
Yeah,
Everybody has an injury.
he was on the injury report for about his whole career.
Right. I
Yeah, I
mean,
think there was one game they took him off the injury report and he got hurt in that game.
Yeah.
And then after that, they were like, all right, we're just going to keep him on the injury report.
right. And I mean that's a great question, Colorado sports dude. I
But
feel like
yes, you've already saw the effects of that, where there's a reason they let Tyreek walk, and they were offering him good money at like 22 million, but they couldn't give him 30.
right,
And they're doing the same thing with Chris Jones now. We're willing to pay you what all these new defensive tackles just got paid, but I can't pay you in the 30s
right,
before that exact reason. So.
right. And I mean that's the pain in the NFL of you have an elite quarterback. Do you pay him? Does your quarterback understand? Is he a Tom Brady type of guy where he understands I can make more money off the field doing other things than I can on the field and marry a hot wife that makes a lot of money or whatever, however you got to do it to win Super Bowls. And he's already got 2. So,
And if you think about Travis Kelce, he should be making in the 20s. He makes 14.
right. And Kelce knows, I mean, we're speaking of him and he's on my thing doing a commercial right now. But Kelce knows he's another guy. If he markets himself well, he's going to make that money off the field as well. I mean, he's a funny guy.
Especially if you win and you play in big games. That helps.
He's not as big as Gronk, not as funny as Gronk and some, but he's still a funny dude. And he knows it. He knows how to sell himself. So.
And his agent supposedly has went to him the last 3 years. He's even told this story. And they're like, I think it's time to ask for a raise. Redo the contract. He doesn't do it. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, some guys, I got asked this at work a few weeks ago, if you were playing, what would you rather have, the gold jacket of a Hall of Famer or a championship? And without hesitation, I said championship because that's what you're playing for. The gold jackets are come and go, but you're playing for that ring, man. That's the competition. So you got to figure out how much money do you have to have compared to winning trophies, and that money comes with the trophies as well. So that's the Ric Flair line. Money comes with the belt.
Yeah, I feel like while you're playing, I'd rather have the titles.
Right.
But when you're retired, I think I'd rather have the jacket.
Well, I mean,
so would you rather be Dan Marino or let's see, what's guy? Well, let's just say Eli Manning gets in. Which one would you rather be? I'd rather be Dan Marino. Now he did get
Dan Marino or Brad Johnson.
Yeah,
Trent
so
Dilfer.
I think while you're playing, absolutely the titles feel more important. But I think afterwards,
well, and that's a different position, I guess.
Hall of Fame. Yeah, it's a good conversation to have, but it's like.
So somebody asked. Battery did ask, what do you think of Montana saying that Dan Marino is the greatest quarterback of all time?
He semi-believes it, I think. He's obviously giving ode to his era that he played in.
Okay.
Because it also makes him look better. You beat him in a Super Bowl, right?
Right.
So I think he does kind of believe it, but not,
Right. Because I think most people would say
advantage to the era he played in.
Is that kind of like a backhanded slap to Tom Brady by saying that? By playing in an easier era for a quarterback, can't get hit, you can't get passing, all that stuff.
Right.
I just that's a good.
But
good
there are better athletes on defense now.
Yes.
But again, you can't put your hands on the receivers. It makes a huge difference.
Well, I mean, you can watch the draft. What gets drafted early? Quarterbacks, receivers now. It used to be running backs. Now it's receivers and your rush end. And then your tackle that's going to block the rush end. Because we were taught you want to build your middle, but these edge guys are the ones that are getting drafted early and making the money. So
that's what I say. It is definitely changing.
we'll see. I'm really interested. I've been watching my first college game tonight. I don't know if I really like this type of offense that they're all going to. I think if a power team comes in and runs the football, teams are going to be in trouble. But I know Mike doesn't really watch college. Do you watch college at all, Brad?
I actually probably watch more college football after the season's over than I do while it's going on.
Get ready for the draft.
Yeah, I look at it for NFL prospects, so I watch
Right.
the all 22 and speed it up then.
Right. Okay.
So like I'll enjoy a game here and there in a day, but it
Okay.
isn't like the NFL where I literally will rewatch them. Where you can watch them in 45 minutes. I will
Right.
watch 12 games.
I was shaking yesterday because I couldn't watch it. I didn't watch any games. Like I said, I watched a D3 game. I went and watched my buddy's son play in a D3 game up in Newport News, Virginia. So Christopher Newport.
Everybody's
Beautiful.
freaking out in Ohio State territory now is because they've been spoiled here over the last few years with good quarterbacks, and now they have a Craig Krenzel type, and they're freaking out.
Well, I know my buddy had a parlay and Ohio had to cover, and he was sitting there in the stands as his son. Well, his son didn't play; he didn't dress out. He had a hurt ankle, so it was easier. So he's just sitting there watching it.
Yeah, I think it was 30, so they didn't cover.
I don't think they covered either. We were laughing at him.
But,
And we made him pay for dinner.
like Marvin Harrison is just going, what is this 3-year rule? Because this guy might cost me my top pick of the draft,
Right. I don't know. He could probably do the sit out and still be top
If
pick.
it went on like the first week, which it'll get better,
Right.
But yeah, he would be better off at this point doing that if it was like that every week.
Right. Yeah, I just and also the way the college game is played now, it just doesn't translate well to the. I know the NFL is trying to pick up on some of how it's played, but it's still with the speed in NFL and the size, and with the speed, it just doesn't translate well to the NFL. You got to have some type of power game to go with. You're either passing to run the ball or run the ball to pass. You're not just throwing the ball over the field.
And this is the worst offensive line play I've ever seen. Like as a whole through college, now through the NFL, outside of a few teams, it's bad.
Well, that might be if you're
That's
a good
why.
lineman, they're going to put you on the defensive
Tight
side.
end,
Yeah, or
Or on the other
I
side.
watched a really bad offensive line in a little college, small college yesterday. It looked like 5 swinging doors. But I mean, the left tackle play, you can't just be a big guy with a big wingspan anymore. You got to have feet work. You got to be able to push that guy to the outside. Or if he goes in, run him into the guard and the other guy they're blocking. You got to be able to move your feet. And I think the offensive, it's like everything else. The offensive is a little behind the defense. I remember when I was in high school, all the offenses were really, really good. Well, they would get the athletes and put them all on the offensive side of the ball and try to run scores up. And nobody had very good defense. And then here comes Dion and Florida State with their defensive backs, kind of changed it over to the defensive side of the ball a little bit. But I'm an old head college fan. I told Battery to talk a little college football for him. So I love the game. It's very, very fun for me to watch. And but I do watch my NFL too. I'm looking forward to Thursday night. So quick, we'll go around the horn. Who do you have in the Super Bowl, Mike?
Well, I'm not good at predictions, and I got to be honest, I haven't given a single second thought up to this moment.
That's why I like to catch everybody off.
So, I don't know, man. The NFC is tough. I really don't want to say the Eagles because I think that's an obvious choice, and
I don't
The
think it's
obvious
gonna be.
choice and the Super Bowl loser, it's usually not a good combo. It happens from time to time, but usually everything doesn't go your way 2 years in a row. And for the Eagles last year, they were incredibly healthy throughout the season.
The NFC
Um,
East has to play possibly the toughest schedule out of anybody, right?
NFC
Playing
East, AFC East play the toughest.
right. So, and also they have to play the number ones on top of that from last year. So that's a tough one. I we'll come back to you, Mike. Brad, you tell us who you're thinking.
The Ravens intriguing, but yeah. So I'm going to go Ravens in the AFC, and then the NFC. I kind of like the Seahawks, but I don't trust Geno Smith. But
well, that's the
I'm
problem
starting to
with the
like the rest of
NFC.
their team. But I'm just going to be different. I'm going to say the Seahawks. I'm going to say Ravens Seahawks.
Yeah, I'm going to go
Battle of the
49ers.
Birds.
I'm going to do 49ers. And I'm going to get crazy, and I think the Bengals are going to make it in there.
Oh yeah. Roster wise, they're top
I
5 roster.
love that tandem.
Sounds
there.
like Big Sky 35 might have a Joe Burrow investment going on.
I do not own a Joe Burrow, but I like the wide receiver better. So that kid is special. Burrow's special too. If he can stay healthy, use my dad's old tagline: "Your best ability is availability." He needs to stay on the field. I mean, I like the Dolphins this year, but we got to keep Tua on the field. We got to keep him upright, man. Got to keep him upright.
Yeah,
Right?
we're basically, I tell people we're like the Rams of like the previous 3 years. First 25 guys, as good as anyone in the league. After that, stinks. So we've already lost Ramsey for half the year.
Right.
If something else happens, one or two more things happen. It could really, we're going to have to get lucky on the injury front.
So
to make the stride.
Why did Dallas go after Trey Lance? What was that trade for?
Turning the ball over, I guess, but I don't know. Like,
Taking a flyer on a young guy
drafted.
with some talent, I guess.
But he really wasn't very good when he was drafted. He didn't play a lot of football.
Right. That's the thing. Is
What
like
did you
everybody's
see
like, "Oh,
that
he was good."
You're going to get out of him. I'm not sure. You know.
I hope it's a wake up call to Dak. Like, hey, bud, you're not the only guy around for me and my Cowboys this year. Because I think
obviously someone was in love with him in the room, and sometimes it's not even the head coach, or sometimes it's the offensive coordinator, or whoever fell in love with him 3 years ago, and was like, "Oh, this is my shot to get him. I can fix it. We can fix it."
Well, I thought Will Greer had a nice preseason for him. I mean, not enough to buy his rookie cards, but I mean, we still have Cooper Rush, who was our darling, before. So, I mean, we'll see. I'm not expecting big things out of the boys this year. So,
well, they led the league defensively in getting turnovers the last 2 years. Usually, traditionally, that is not something that holds up year after year.
But they have to score for it to count. It doesn't mean anything if you get the turnover and then you have to punt it.
Well, and like everyone kind of remembers how it ended for the Cowboys. Your offense was pretty darn good majority of the year.
Yeah.
It's
then
great in your mind how it ended.
Right.
But it was pretty darn good for most of the year.
They scored a lot early, and then all of a sudden, like, they couldn't find the end zone. But they've done that 2 or 3 years now in a row. I mean, that goes back to Romo days. It's just I don't know.
That's kind of the feel I got from them last year. Was kind of the Romo Cowboys.
Yeah, and a lot of us Cowboy fans were seeing that in the chats. So I mean, I know you were watching last week when we said, if they were selling action figures and it came with the, you Dak would come with the home away jerseys. What team is he throwing it to? And Tua would come with the tent. So, and I hate you guys for that one, but
Yep. It's darn truth. Man.
But man, anything y'all want, I don't know. I'm just ready for the season to start. I'm still, I'm a baseball guy first. Mike's the same way, but it's fun. Football. That's the one good thing about football. I mean, theoretically, it's one day. You got one game here and there.
Except for then, Thursday and Monday.
But in theory, it's a one-day deal. So I'm interested in the season. I think it's going to be a fun season to watch. I said it before. I don't know if anybody heard me. I love the NFL, how they do the scheduling, where it's, first to last is, and it's always a pretty level playing field in the league. So the teams are pretty level and everybody feels like, as a fan, you have a chance until about halfway through the season. You're like, and then all of a sudden your team makes a run at the late part of the season. But it's just, I like how the NFL has done it. I wish MLB maybe watched a little bit of it to see how to maybe have better play in their league.
And how to market the sport would just be fantastic.
Right.
I have no idea when to watch a Major League Baseball game. Hockey's the freaking worst. Do you even know when the hockey season starts? Shouldn't that be everywhere?
I had to ask my hockey friends. So they're at some
Is it October?
So some of the hockey rookies and stuff I think are at camp now, and then the rest of the camps there, because I know they start camp and then like a week later they start preseason games. It's kind of crazy how it works, but
just so bad. It's like the reason why the NFL is king is you already know almost when the next year's NFL draft is. That's how much they advertise and put it in your face.
And they know how to sell their product. And,
you know where to find it.
Right.
I don't even know what channel Sunday Night Baseball still on ESPN. I don't ever see it advertised.
Yeah, and they don't have very good games.
I really don't even know.
So here,
I watch sports stations.
And this is a great. I think NFL one mistake is having Thursday night games on a consistent basis.
Yeah,
but
go back to mid-season when it was kind of like, all right, it's special.
Right. Yeah. And I so you kind of took the special out of the one day and Monday night game,
and the product stakes.
Right. Yeah. Because
I mean, theoretically, it's great to get every team some representation on primetime football, but it's also not necessary.
So this year, this is the point I want to. Thursday night, what channel is it on this year? I don't know that.
I think it's Amazon, isn't it?
Right. And see, that's the one problem I did have with NFL. It's like my dad wouldn't know how to watch it on Amazon if they came to his house and put it on the projection for him. So, and he gets very frustrated with that. I mean, he's, been watching forever.
Sounds like, Big Scott with Apple TV baseball games.
Well, that's what I want to get to. So, here it is. My Mets not having a good season. They call up some of the prospects that I've been waiting on. And what happens? Their game that these guys are playing in, they got 4 rookies playing, and they're playing on Apple TV. So I'm like, thanks MLB. I have a Samsung phone. I don't watch Apple TV. Sorry.
And I'm pretty sure on opening night, I think they'll do both. They have it on Amazon, and I think they'll show it on NBC. But that's just for that first week.
Right. I watch it. I have Amazon Prime, so I don't have.
But for those who don't and are like, oh, I at least want to watch the first game, I'm pretty sure they always will still do it on regular TV that first week. They do it both places.
Yeah, I try.
Well, even Sunday Ticket this year is through YouTube, correct?
Yeah,
So we'll see how that
I'm
goes.
interested to see how that works because they've had some problems, with the NBA and stuff. And you have a problem with that, you're going to have a big problem on your hands.
So
know?
why did they? I mean, I know like streaming service is kind of where it's at now for everything. The dish networks are pretty much done, but YouTube. How did that happen? That's kind of confusing to me. But for me, I don't get it because I watch Dallas, and most of the time their games they haven't won anything in 25 years, but for somehow most of their games are nationally televised.
Yeah.
So I'm not complaining, but so.
Yeah, I've had Sunday tickets since Peyton Manning's rookie year. Because being a Dolphins fan in Ohio, you have to have it.
So
my parents and brother are Bears fans, so they have to have it being in Ohio too.
Well, I used to get it when I thought about getting it again because I'm off on the weekends, but I don't see enough matchups for me outside of watching the local games where it just doesn't.
To me, to make it worth it, you have to be a nerd with it. Like I'm a nerd with it, where I will literally flip through all the, and sometimes have a couple on the screen, or
Well,
to really get your money's worth, you got
an NFL Network. I watched the whatever they cut out all the huddles and everything.
Yeah,
and I enjoy watching those. So
yep.
you
can watch it like 45 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, and that's fine with me. But anyway, I hope everybody has fun this year with the season. I know it's frustrating when your team doesn't do well, but there's only can be one. It's Highlander, man. Right. It can only be one. You got to remember that. I have people all the time. Dallas hasn't won in 20, so I know, but they did win. I mean, I seen them win Super Bowls.
I tell them I just want to be excited to watch the game that week.
Right.
Put a product on the field that at least makes me want to watch it that week.
And
I know you're not going to win every week.
And there's a lot, and divisional games in the NFL mean something, and they're hyped up, and they're fun to watch. Even when your team doesn't have a chance, you still want to watch. You want to watch them play, but those divisional games just mean so much, and anybody can win. You could throw all the records at the when even the New England big days of New England. It was fun to watch Miami New England games because it was a bloodbath. New England and whoever, it was just fun watching the Jets or Buffalo, whoever in New England, because it was just bloodbaths. It was same way in NFC East, so it's just fun to watch. I do miss my old AFC days when Seattle was in the West. Anybody old like me, that was the funnest with Seattle Raiders rivalries. Those games were awesome. But we'll end it on that. I hope everybody has a great season. Good luck to you and your team. I hope they lose to Dallas. Until next time, share, tell a friend. Picked up a couple more subscribers. Hope everybody's doing well. Please let me know down below if anything you want me to change, add, delete. I can't get any prettier. But next time, see ya.